Hi, it's Ileana, and today I am going to be talking about hidden symbology in remote viewing data. So sometimes when you do remote viewings, there's interesting types of information in it that is highly unusual, and it may seem to be outside the realm of being believed. Like it could be so out there. It's hard to fathom that that could be a reality. Sometimes that can happen in remote viewing results. And recently I did several remote viewings where the data is just really out there. It is so incredibly different than anything I've ever seen before. It's not surprising to me because I've done targets that are esoteric, UFO related, all kinds of targets, weird, unusual, normal, mystery targets, all kinds. But this particular remote viewing, several sessions were out there, um, beyond the usual. And some of the things that came out of that, I can only use a few word phrases because this is private remote viewing, so I can't talk about the details of it. But something that came up was star glyphs, keyword star glyphs. And sometimes when things are very unusual, what I will do is look for hidden symbology. If there's anything of a hidden symbology of any kinds of images or something energetically that's in the target that is different, and sometimes there will be, and sometimes there's nothing there. These are my original remote viewing notes, handwritten notes of what I had perceived during remote viewing. And when I put them through the spectrum of checking if there's any hidden symbology, immediately what I got was like a star pattern of expanding stars, the universe, an expansion of energy, like star glyphs. So in my original notes, I think it was on page 2, I said star glyphs. And I think that's connected to space maps and ancient vaults and ancient repositories of information. That also was in this remote viewing. I cannot specifically say to what end, but I could just use some basics of what was in there. So there's space information, there's hidden vaults, there's hidden repositories, star maps, star glyphs, and connections to exotic artifacts as well. So the fact that there's this star glyph actually here in the hidden symbology, that has meaning because it reflects back to what's in the remote viewing. Yeah, once you look deeper in the hidden aspects, it reflects back what's actually there. And that's sometimes I do this with special targets that are extra exotic. I like to do this reverse symbology to see if there's anything there or not. And does that correlate to my own notes or not? And there seemed to be a theme of archaeological excavation of ancient artifacts, something to that point, and this seems to have some of that symbology of hidden symbols that could be related to that. And then I did another page to see if there's any hidden symbology. And to me, it looks like a craft of some sort. And there was a craft in the remote viewing as well. Again, this kind of like a star corridor symbology going on in the middle. So again, that reflects this craft. And it looks like there's like a being above the craft, like an entity of some sort, because it has eyes and a nose and a mouth. an elongated, extended face. It's right here. It's this being. And that was very interesting. So if I zoom in, say 25, about 25 percent, you can see that being. You can see that being right there. There it is. And there were entities in this remote viewing. So there were powerful entities that had escaped something. So I think that's one of these entities that escaped something um, from an archaeological site. So back to the normal zoom. But yeah, there were entities in that remote viewing. So I think that's the reflection of that entity and what it came out of. And then for the third page, like the third page, one of the pages I examined, it looks like spiral corridors or vault systems or hidden archives or something, because there's like different levels and layers of something going on, like these places. One, two, three, four, five. So one, two, three, four, five, five of them. Large, some kind of facilities, maybe holding experimental facilities or some kind of hidden vault systems, archives, and information and data being retrieved and sent back and forth. And again, the star glyph in the middle. So star glyphs seem to be a pattern in this hidden symbology of this remote viewing, whatever it is. And it has to do, I think, with space archaeology and stuff of exotic artifacts out in space and something related to that. So there seems to be hidden patterns of symbology in these remote viewing notes. And these notes were handwritten. So it was I always do first impressions of remote viewings with handwritten notes and drawings. Then I put it into digital notes, typed up notes with images and how that correlates to the information. I try to have it organized into something that makes coherent sense. And it looks like there's again another entity here. So if we zoom in closer, it looks like there's another entity with eyes and some kind of energy symbols going out, a nose, a mouth, a chin. And again, all these ancient symbols connecting to these corridors or hidden vault systems, whatever they are. So there's different beings here that are part of this remote viewing, and they're not human. They're different kinds of extraterrestrial, potentially beings of extraterrestrial origins. And so this this particular remote viewing was way different than what I'm used to, and it was unexpected information, but very interesting. That's why I wanted to do the reverse symbology to just see if anything was there that actually correlates to the written notes of the remote viewing and some of the drawings, which it seems to in some key points it does. Levels, layers, corridors, doors, aspects, vault systems, energy, frequency, movement, memory, identity, recovering stuff, recovering layers of things, layers of memory and identity. Those were the things I was getting, some of the gestalts in this remote viewing. And again, it has a lot of pieces and bits that start to make sense the more you delve into these subjects and aspects. And there's beings and people in this remote viewing and archaeology and artifacts and a craft. Very, very interesting. Many places, many things to see and explore and experiment with to see what it all means. So that was kind of the basics that I can talk about from this stuff that I remote viewed. And I just wanted to share the unusual aspects of the reverse symbology because symbols have hidden meaning often, and symbols represent something that is part of different living beings and different energies and how things interconnect to each other to make the puzzle pieces fit together. So, symbology represents many things: information, images, an interconnection of how reality forms and it interconnects with everything else to make sense of reality. And again, like archival spirals, I'm getting archival spirals, I'm getting downloads, information exchanges, data packets being shared, cleaned up, and interchanging identities and trying to clean something up and make it whole again. Um, and just to save lives. I'm just getting those impressions, even from this imagery right now that comes up on an aspect of this remote viewing. So I just wanted to share that and show hidden symbology in remote viewing data and how that could correlate sometimes to remote viewing data findings. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it seems to correlate. It has some correlations to some of the keywords and gestalts that came up in this remote viewing. Unusual energy, but interesting. And there's correlations between the imagery, the symbology, and the written stuff. And when you trace it back and reverse it, you can see the hidden layers, the beings, the star glyphs, the connections between what's there. So I wanted to kind of compare and contrast that information and discuss it. Thank you so much.